Hey everybody. Well, tonight, hopefully, is going to be a big night. Now, I'm bringing you back, updating on a little bit of what we've done, but now we're going to actually see. It's kind of rough at the moment. I've got it kind of put together enough that we're going to see if it'll move, and hopefully see if everything that we've been doing is going to work. So, I'll bring you around here. So, we've got a couple things that we've been working on. First thing is, well, as you can see, good thing we only got water in it, because yeah, the lovely lower rad coupler up in there, it's leaking. Who could have guessed that? You know, it's almost like I can't weld worth a crap. But anyway, I digress. The track bar has been remounted and relocated to the correct position for the new axle height. So that's a nice improvement. The radiator and intercooler have now been fully mounted and are plumbed up. It's more mocked up at the moment, but they're all at least have pipes fitted, so we'll get actually some flow. I don't have any clamps or anything on it yet, but since we're not really going to be running it, I'm not going to drive it at all, really. It's just going to be a test to see if it'll move. That's not really a problem. But I have all of the pipes and everything created and bent up. I've just got to get some clamps ordered and brought in. I do have a couple of the clamps, but not enough for everything. And then the lower one, you can't really see it, but it kind of runs from the turbo and snakes up and down and goes up into there. I actually have to put another adapter because the clamp, this is not the correct size. This is only, I had thought that the bell end on the end of this piece of pipe I had was 3-inch. Turns out it's 2 3/4. So I've got a new piece of pipe that I'm going to weld on here that will give me the correct ending size to fit into this clamp. So, but again, for testing purposes, this is all, you know, rough. Like I said, we got it full of water right now, just testing some of the things. Got the heater hose point blocked off. Also, the as you might, or some of you might have guessed, heater core isn't hooked up, and that's the one outlet. I don't actually even have the other outlet plumbed in yet. It's going to go down in that hose somewhere, I think. Haven't quite figured that out yet, but that's, you know, that's a later problem. And other things we've done, I went ahead and got all the brake lines put in and the Hydro Boost lines and everything. I can't remember if I said that in the last one or not. Got all the stainless lines put in. I did actually have to go and get a different brake line here for this side, because it turned out that the fitting, that everything, the T that's part of this brake line was damaged. So I had to go get a new line, and I ended up running actually Nycop for the cross member, because the factory, now that I've modified the cross member, the factory line is now not quite the right size and the right length. And so rather than bending up a perfectly good stainless line that I could use on something else, went ahead and just made it out of Nycop, and it's plenty strong enough for what I'm doing. The other thing, now y'all are probably gonna think this is a little bit redneck, but hey, you know what? That's what you get around here. We've done some improvements to the clutch. The I guess you can't really see it down there. I have made a few adjustments to the clutch linkage up in there. Apologize for the poor lighting, but I drilled that second hole you see the pin in now, and same thing up on the clutch fulcrum up there. But as we move back up here, the other thing that we had to do, yeah, shifter, yeah, that's a piece of pipe, because, well, this shifter size is one and the lower piece is another. And these are supposed to be two-piece shifters that come apart, but that design and about 20-some years of Midwestern rust decided that it was no longer going to be removable and be a permanent fixture. So we had to do a little bit of outside extracurricular work to that. I ended up taking it, cutting it off here and cutting it off there. I took about 6 inches of length out of the shifter, and also I took and heated this end up and up in here with the torch to basically straighten it and give it a little bit better angle. So now once I get a knob on it, the throw and the different positions that's going to sit is much better. It's at a much more comfortable driving position. It's at a much more comfortable shifting position, as opposed to it sitting up taller, which wasn't as big of a deal, but it was also the fact that it would hit the seat and didn't really allow it to shift into all of the gears as correctly. So the other thing too is this is going to have a boot on it that comes up to about right there, so you're never going to see any of that. Remember, the floor pan comes up till about right here on this shifter column anyway, plus the height of the boot will bring it up to about here once the carpeting and everything's back on it. So you won't see any of this. This will all be hidden under the floor, so all you will see is basically from there up. And this will have a nice knob on it too later down the road, but we have other priorities at the moment. In addition, the fuel tank and all that is, I think, already set up. I believe I mentioned that in one of the other videos. The other couple of big things, I went ahead and I don't know exactly where I cut this off, but I will mention this some more. The Hydro Boost lines, you can't really see it under that now, but I teed the return lines coming out of the Hydro Boost brake booster and the power steering gearbox, which is conveniently hidden under this big silver pipe that conveniently washes it out so you can't see. Oh, there it is right there. So yeah, these are the tees coming in from the gearbox and from the brake booster that tee together there and go in a single return line back up into the reservoir right here. At the moment, I do not have a cooler on this. I just have the line returning, but I ran the line across the front here as a plan that if I did want to put a cooler across here, since we are dealing with a fair amount of flow here, and eventually too, once I put HydroRam on here, this may have enough flow and might generate enough heat that a cooler might be a good idea. I've got the line in the right position that I just have to add in fittings here and here to put a cooler itself in and tie it in. I already have the set designed for it. So yeah, but with those few things out of the way, my garage is messy as usual, so I'm gonna take and disappear all this stuff in here and the stuff on the back side of it. Take the jack, scoot it out so that it actually can get out, because to make it all fit in here, especially over the winter, so I had plenty of room, I had to take and we took and jacked it up and slid the truck's back end over to kind of give us more room in here. So we're gonna slide it back over, do a little bit of cleanup, and when we see you next, we're gonna be trying to back this thing up. Well, did a little bit of cleanup. Messy ass garage is normal, but you know, we got a little more room now at least. The one thing also that I probably should mention too, I don't think we're actually going to be able to pull it out tonight, because the door on the garage here is not very tall, and I believe the cab of the truck is taller than the edge of the door here. So what I'm probably gonna just tonight, I think all I'm gonna try to mainly do is just see if it backs up and goes forwards within the garage, and then I'll just pull it in straight. And then to actually pull it out, I will drop the front end either on the set of these that I have that are 33s that'll drop the front end down by a little bit, enough to back it out and then put the big tires back on it, or I will just completely take the wheels off the front end. And I believe we've got a set of caster of roll around dollies that I can set the front end down on to drive it, basically back it out, and then put the wheels back on it. But the unfortunate thing of living in a house that has a short garage. So, but anywho, we'll bring you back here when we're getting ready for it to move. Well, I already confirmed the clutch works. I started it with the clutch, or put the clutch down, and it let me put it into gear, and I slowly let the clutch out, and it started to grab a little bit. So I do know that the clutch works. Everything else, we're gonna find out. So the other thing I've got to be careful of is, I don't know if I'll make it out this opening like I had said previously. Might be a worry. I did take the cab lights off though, because with the cab lights on, I was the exact same distance of that opening. Now that I took the cab lights off, I've got about an inch or so. The only problem is the concrete there dips down a little bit right where the door is. So we're going to see if it'll fit out here or not. Worst case, we might have to take some air out of the tires. And honestly, if I have to do that, I probably won't back it out the rest of the way tonight just because it's getting kind of late. But we'll see see how she does here. The other fun thing is the starter has been not always wanting to engage right, so it might go on the first try, might take a few times. It's going to get a new starter here a little bit later, but I guess here goes nothing.
You made it. Look at how close that was.
Just, it scraped one of the gaskets off. That means it had about a quarter of it in. Oh, wait a minute, I got lights.
That's pretty good.
It might have higher gears than I thought it would. Well, there you have it, folks. That's a pretty good way to end the video, I think. Not too bad for a couple months worth of work. Obviously, we got a long way to go before it's ready to drive and go down the road, you know, cruising just fine. But this is a big step. So be sure to stay tuned. Keep a lookout for some more videos because, yeah, now we're motivated. I don't know if y'all have ever worked on any projects like this, and you haven't, I highly recommend it. It's a huge waste of time and money. But once you get over some of these humps, you can dump money and time into it. And once you get to these points, you hit points like this, that it really starts to make it worthwhile and gives you that next push to keep going and move forward. So yeah, it definitely needs quite a bit more. We got a long way to go, and I gotta, first I'll get a little fuel because I've only put about 3 gallons in it, basically just to see if the fuel system would work. So before I go driving it around and suck the thing dry, I think we're gonna go get some fuel, and that'll probably be a later video of us taking it out. And it's plated and registered and insured, so we'll do a little bit more to make it a little more maybe reliability increasing. I don't know, we'll see what happens. And then you'll probably see some videos of it maybe cruising for a quick drive around some of the gravels around here, low speed stuff, because yeah, I don't know how I trust all this stuff yet. Because the other thing is, I haven't had this truck on the road in about 6 months, so there were some issues when it came off the road for this that really needed addressed. So, but that's actually really big, because being able to pull it out now, we can actually drive it and move it around a little more. So yeah, be sure to stay tuned. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see you later. Well,
Oh yeah, here
a little bit extra footage here for you. Got her back in for the night, and for a bit of an idea, that is how close it is to fitting out of this garage. That is it. With this pushed up, it rubbed along the top of this strip. It physically could not push this up anymore without probably tearing it off. So it probably rubs right along this edge as it pulls out. That is how close we are. So I think this is about the maximum height we could ever realistically go in this garage. But that's okay, because that's all I really need to do. So yeah, let y'all might enjoy that.